All right, well, welcome to Indianapolis when you get here tonight. I will be asleep, but it'll be halftime of Mavs and Thunder probably. And when we look at this matchup, are we very worried about Luka's knee? Yes, we are. We are very worried about Luka's knee. That is the conversation of the entire series, or is it of SGA and the boys in Oklahoma City being phenomenal and not really talked about much all year, which is potentially why another person won the MVP over somebody that maybe the world didn't even realize existed in the way that he does. For a large portion of it. Is that what we're worried about or no?
Well, I will say gilgeous-alexander finished second in MVP voting, so he's no longer an underrated player. You finish second, you're not allowed to say you're underrated. I got to tell you, you put those odds up there, but I would stay away from this until I see what Luka looks like, because here's what I don't know. They played like 4 days before game one. They had 4 days off. And they didn't have to travel. They were home, they had time off, and then their flight to Oklahoma City is a half hour. So he should have been in relatively good, rest. And he didn't look good at all in that game. Now, I have to wonder, is there going to be he sort of fell in the early part of that game. Did he aggravate that knee and that's why he didn't have any burst? Or is that knee just that way right now? And that's what I don't know. If he fell in that first quarter, he got tangled up, I think, with Lou Dort, and he fell and he kind of banged his knee. If that performance was because of that, I feel one way. If he really can't do his step back, because his big weapon, because he's so big and strong, people got to play off him. And if that step back where he pushes off that right leg, if that's going to be, because he's 5 of 35 on threes in the last 4 games. Like, that is not Luka. And if he doesn't have that lift, like I honestly, at the beginning of this Western Conference semis, I thought any of these 4 teams could have won it. I could make a case for OKC, Dallas, Minnesota, and Denver. And now I'm wondering, does Dallas have their guy? So I got to watch and see tonight. I'm going to learn a lot about what the Mavericks' chances are watching this first half.
Okay, and when you talk about the West, remember, everybody's talking about the West being so stacked and the West being loaded. The East kind of boring, right? Celtics are just going to do their thing.
Yep.
And then there's been a 22-year-old sensation. Ty has a question for you, Windy.
Yeah, Windy, do you think that series is done? I mean, like, we saw the video of, Jokic getting his MVP and, like, it didn't seem like they were tight or anything like that, but then you watch these games and they're just getting dominated, and obviously all the Jamal Murray stuff. Like, is there a world where the Nuggets come back and just look incredible and end up winning this series? Or do you think the hay's kind of in the barn and Minnesota is going to find a way to get this done?
Very good Indiana reference. Hay in the barn. Good job. Loved it.
Iowa
Good job.
as well.
Yeah, more of a corn place, but
yeah.
How do you say what?
Listen, I live in Omaha. We're down for it.
Yep.
So I think Chris Finch, the coach of the Timberwolves, he has been planning and plotting how to play this game plan for maybe a year. And he had this tucked away in the file, and this game plan where they were going to press full court. Plus, they saw Jamal Murray's calf was a little bit sore, and they're like, we're going to put it to him. And they're like, why should Jokic get to dribble over the half court just because he's the center? He's not allowed to do that. We got 3 centers. We're going to press them. And the Nuggets acted like they'd never seen it before. Like, it was to be honest with you, there's very few like game plan coaching moves that no one's ever seen before. Maybe like you throw a zone or you throw a matchup difference that staggers a team for 4 or 5 possessions, or maybe it works for like a game. This game plan that Chris Finch came out with, holy moly, what an effective game plan. Totally. I mean, the Nuggets never look rattled. They were so rattled. They're throwing stuff on the court, blaming the officials. Wow. They can't get the ball over half court. And not only that, Gobert was out in game 2. Like, they're in a situation where they lose a defensive player of the year, right? And they didn't know what they could plan for it for 3 days. His girlfriend went into labor. She had to have the baby. Good for her. Congratulations to their new son.
Hell yeah.
But he gets that team ready to play, and not just him. Mike Conley, I think he's from Indy. Ant Edwards. All those guys, Karl Towns, they're like, you know what? We don't have the defensive player of the year, but we're going to go play the best defensive game the NBA's seen all season anyway. That was a incredible performance. So here's my thing. Minnesota's big Achilles heel, what stops everybody from saying Minnesota could win the West at the start, was that they're not a great offensive team. That some nights, as great as their defense is, they just can't score. So while they're shutting down Denver in those first two games, they also were red hot shooting the ball, over 50% shooting. So the question is, can they still play offense like this? And if they can, guys, if they can play offense like they did the last two games, they're going to win it all. But they're really not that good of an offensive team.
Well,
so
they are who they show us to be.
Oh,
and
you're right.
They 106 to 80, I believe, is this game. 26 points differential. I love that they go press Virginia, and then all of a sudden Denver's a little bit rattled. Now, this is something they'll continue to do, or is the expectation you think that they'll continue to do this? And how do we feel about Malone and Champions potentially reacting, or is this one like, hey?
Well, Michael Malone, Michael Malone's known for calling out his team. And he went deep. He was like, I've never seen us, in the 9 years I've been coaching here, he says, I've never seen us lose our composure like that. Even back when they were a 500 team, he's like, I've never seen us lose our composure like that. And that was done basically with will and a great game plan. And, Finch used to coach the Nuggets. It was a couple of years ago. He was an assistant coach. So he knows Jokic and all that stuff. So I'm telling you,
Who's
man.
Who's the guy that built the team?
The GM as
Who's
well.
the guy that built the team? So I just saw something on the internet, some Instagram sports, great breakdown. I wish I could remember. Bland White.
Yes.
Great information, good delivery is the video. The guy who built the Nuggets team now has built the Minnesota Timberwolves team. Is that accurate? Who is that dude? Do we know who that is?
Tim Connelly was hired away at enormous salary, pulled out of Denver, and he drafted Jokic. He traded he traded for Aaron Gordon. He drafted Michael Porter. He drafted Jamal Murray. He traded for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Those are all his moves.
Paid Rudy, too, or traded for Rudy, and everybody thought that was a terrible idea.
Traded for Conley. Traded for Mike Conley.
Yeah, whenever he was in Minnesota. Yeah. It's like this guy has this guy's built both these teams pretty much, right? But he didn't win a championship with Denver.
So here's the thing. Here's a little story about Tim Connelly, because we talk about off-season maneuvers and who's a big free agent. Oh, it's Paul George. What if I told you Tim Connelly is going to be a free agent this summer, if he wants to be? Because Tim Connelly doesn't just make good deals with teams when he's making trades. He makes good deals for himself. So a couple of years ago, Denver wanted to extend his contract, but they didn't want to pay him the market rate. Because, Denver's ownership, even though they're rich, they're a little bit tight sometimes with their spending. So he said, all right, I'll sign for less than I could get elsewhere, but I'm going to get a free out. If somebody else wants to come hire me, you can't keep me. I'm actually an at-will employee. And boy, was that smart. Because then all of a sudden, Minnesota was like, wait a minute, we can steal this guy? We're going to give him a $40 million deal in like a share of the team. And so when he came to Minnesota, he goes, okay, well, what happens if you guys can't close this deal, A-Rod and Mark Lowry? I'm like, okay, well, if we can't close the deal by this such and such a date, you can become a free agent. So I'm not saying he will. He may not want to go anywhere. But he didn't get a ring for that Denver team, but he did 90% of the work. Oh. And now he might be building another team that could get to the finals, and he might end up being a free agent in a couple of months. That is a guy who is underrated as a pretty darn smart executive in pro sports. Tim Connelly, know the name.
Hell yeah, Tim Connelly.
Shout out.
And shout out to whoever I watched on Instagram. My algo. Hell of an, hey, Zuck, thanks. This guy.
Boom.
This guy, what's his name? Ryan Hammer. Hey, Hammer. Dad, we love you, Hammer. Thank you, buddy. Hammer. This show, and shout out to Zuck's algo too, kind of putting that in front of me.
I get it.
Because as I was watching, I'm like, what? This guy built both these teams right now. It seems like this should be a story.
Well, I will say this: the Ant Edwards was there, and I think Tim Connelly would be the first to tell you it helps to have a superstar on the team. So he's done a good job in Minnesota, but I don't want to take away from the fact that Ant Edwards and Karl Towns were already there. That helps.
Okay, agreed. Okay, sounds
Brought
good.
Garza up, though.
Yeah, he did. Luke Garza's undefeated wherever he's on. When Luka Garza gets minutes, the Timberwolves win.
Bingo.
Nobody's talking about it.
Nope.
Iowa, great.
Yeah.
You're damn right. I didn't know you showed respect for anybody outside of Ohio State in the Big Ten.
Garza is ripped, dude. Like that. I mean, even by NBA standards, like nobody would mess with that guy.
Yeah.
Well
the sky's
said.
blue, Windy.
Hell yeah, Windy. Tone has a question for you.
Wendy, we're talking about strategy and game plans. Is there one that exists on Earth that gives the Cavaliers any chance tonight or moving forward in the series?
So, all right, this is what I've been saying about Cleveland because I'm from Ohio.
Yep.
I've been telling people in Cleveland they're going to have a good three-point shooting night because they were a good three-point shooting team. And they're getting worse. They shot 28% in the series against the Magic. And I was like, well, they're going to eventually make threes. 26% in game one. Not great.
Whoops.
So, like, if you're asking me how they can beat Boston, make a ton of threes and Boston have an
Praise
average
God.
game. And maybe they get one. So I will say that they are due to make three-pointers. There is nowhere written that they must make them, but they are in a team-wide slump. But here's the thing about Cleveland. Other than Donovan Mitchell, like basically nobody on their team is playing well right now. The only guy who was playing well, who could argue they were playing near their regular season play was Jared Allen, and he has now got this vicious rib injury, and he's missed 4 games. I don't know if he's going to play tonight. So if anybody on the Cleveland team started playing basically to their ability level, that would also be a help.
It was 11.5 in game one. They won by 25. Tonight it's 13.5 point spread.
Wow.
We shall see
Wow.
in the Garden. And since we already talked about that, last question here from Boston. Hey, if it means anything, Boston's up right now, okay?
Yeah.
Boston is up right now with the roast and everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything happening. And the Bruins now, they just lose 6-1, so that's certainly problematic. Celtics seemingly walking to the Eastern Conference Finals in their minds. I believe in Spida and Cavs could do something, but this guy is up right now, but there's one commercial, seemingly. Conman, go ahead.
Yeah, Wendy, and this isn't just a personal thing. I think this is quite universal. Do you think there's a chance Adam Silver makes a call to the commercial committee, I don't know what it's called, to make sure that they stop running the What a Pro Wants commercial with SGA and Chet Holmgren? Because
2 young stars?
Yeah, 2 stars on a 1 seed in the West, because every time someone sees it, I think 1 or 2 people die from drinking bleach.
No.
I suppose it's a victory for the commercial director because everybody talks about it.
No, see,
not
this
forgotten.
is the old any numbers are good numbers thing. I don't even know what that's for. Do you know what that's for?
No, I have no idea.
I think it's AT&T or something like that.
See, you don't even know, Wendy, and you're
I thought it was Kia.
Well, no, Kia's a
It is definitely not Kia. It is definitely not Kia. I will say
Pros want
that
Kia.
I am afraid to know what the cutting room floor looks like. Those were the takes that they took. And also, I have to assume that those guys and their – by the way, those guys have excellent agents. I assume that they saw the footage and said,
Send it.
we got a winner.
But Wendy, it's not about the commercial. Okay, if that commercial is only like 10 times, I think it's good.
Sure.
It's been shown 1,500 times. It's like it is like a song. Like what's that?
Burger.
Friday. It's just like it's like being played every single commercial break. It's like damn.
I mean,
you're trying to
you're
kill
a
these guys.
businessman. You know all aspects of the business. Is that a 9-figure ad campaign?
For who? For ESPN and TNT or for Chet
The
and
whole thing.
SGA? Yeah.
No, the whole thing. To buy the time, to make the commercial, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Nine figures. 9 figures.
I don't know.
Somebody signed off on that. And you know what? They're probably getting the bonus.
Yeah. Hey, way to
Like,
go.
hey,
problem.
They're talking
got
about it.
McAfee.
They're talking. All right, you're the man. We appreciate you joining us on short notice. Safe
All right,
safe travels to our city, pal.
Take care. I'll enjoy it.
Can't believe you're turning down those tickets to tonight's
I
game.
know.
Ladies and
Messed
gentlemen,
up.
Brian Windhorst, HW.